All right, everybody. As you can tell from the familiar setting, I am back in Memphis. I'm had to do the partial breakdown, the mostly breakdown of the boat, of the soon-to-be shanty boat. We did that on Sunday, and as I've reported in the last video, I wasn't used to working in that heat, and I got deathly ill. Um, I had never had sun poisoning or heat exhaustion or whatever you want to call it, so I didn't know what the hell was going on, but after recovering most of Sunday and yesterday morning, we did a few little things on the boat, and I drove back to Memphis because I had my solar system, panels, battery, control panel, inverter, all of that being delivered. It wasn't supposed to be till today, but I got an email from Amazon saying it might arrive yesterday, and I didn't want that stuff sitting on the patio. So, yep, back in Memphis. It's gonna be a few days before I go back. Got some things that couldn't do to the boat or don't want to do. I'm not going to move the control console forward. So I am buying an RV camera system to navigate with. I've got windows so I can see where I'm going, but the controls are so far back, I want to have some extra visibility. And I found a couple of cool ones. So yeah, that's going to be a good move. But the reason for today's video, since I've had some time to contemplate, especially when I was in bed for almost 14 hours the other day, shaking and cramping up because I was totally dehydrated, and vomiting quite a bit. I don't know if you needed to hear that, but they say get the puke buckets during 2-day football practices for a reason, because they're running out there in the heat and it does make you physically ill and makes you nauseous. So I found that out. I like a cold beer on a hot day, and it didn't like me on a Sunday. But the reason I wanted to do the next series of videos, I want, this journey started, you would think, not long ago, but the more I contemplate the way my life has gone, this journey, this video, this idea, or what led me to this, a little over 29 years old. And I'll go into further detail about that, but something happened that drastically changed my life. It ruined my marriage. It shook my faith in God. I did something as a good Catholic that I would never do again. Well, if the same situation popped up, I would. Um, my wife at the time was unconscious and bleeding to death, and we were in our 6th month of pregnancy with a little girl. And the doctor came to me because she was unconscious and said, "Hey, I've got to terminate this baby or she's going to bleed to death." And sitting there holding my 2-year-old son and going on 3-year-old son in my hands, and I'm like, I can't leave him without a mother, and I don't want to lose her either. I really am pro-life. I'm really anti-abortion, but this is one of those matters where the pro-life movement says, well, what if you had to make the decision to terminate a baby? And doctors won't do it. No, the doctor asked me and says, I've got to do this or your wife is going to die. The baby's not going to make it. So I've got to terminate this baby to stop the bleeding. So, that's a decision in life. And my ex-wife never recovered from it. She took my son and moved back to Mississippi with her parents. I stayed in Knoxville where we were living at the time, and I decided to try to stay in school and finish the semester, come back, pick her back up, pick our life back up, whether she wanted to go back to Knoxville or if she wanted us to move back to Memphis, or hell, even back down to Mississippi where my son was born. I was ready to do all that. Well, I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle being there by myself. I couldn't handle being away from my family, and I fell into a bottle for a few weeks and dropped out of school and moved back to Memphis and got a good job. And but marriage didn't last. Marriage didn't survive that. So anyway, so this journey actually started about 29 years ago. From that day in the hospital to me floating around for 30 something years, not 30 something years, 28 plus years, staying in the bar business, getting in the occasional corporate job and hating it and going back into the bar business. So I've been lost since that day. And I've been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off and just floating by. And here recently, I've really started talking to God about what I needed to do. And the answer was a doozy. Check out of daily life like this, build a boat, get on it, meet new people, see the scenery. The first idea was to buy a RV or a camper trailer and drive the highways, but I'd rather see it from the rivers and the lakes. And the community I found, the shanty boat community that I found online on YouTube, you know, that's life for me. And building this boat instead of just buying a houseboat is it's a sense of accomplishment. My dad thinks I'm crazy. My friends think I'm crazy, but that's okay. You know, that's okay. The build's going to turn out to be smaller than I hoped it would be. I mean, it's only a 24-foot platform, and but it's going to be easy to expand. So I'll be living in some cramped quarters for a while. So when I get back up to the lake, I'm making a few more videos about, you know, just life in general. But the build will start back up. It might not start till next week. My parents have got some family friends and their grandkids coming up to the lake on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. And I was planning on going back up tomorrow or Thursday, but that'll be a crowded house and they won't have time to help me. I can't do this by myself. And, you know, Dennis would probably want to help because he him and my dad and I could knock a bunch of it out, but he needs to spend time on the lake and with his family. So, but it's kind of a project he'd like to tear into. So maybe he'll come back up another day and help us put the finishing touches on it. But anyway, I just wanted to, you know, hey, I'm back in Memphis. My solar system came in. I'm really only lacking a few things. I'm going to have a more cramped space, so I'm going to have to go less on the interior than I wanted, a small bed and maybe a small cabinet and some soft closets or hangers or wardrobe to put my clothes in. I'll make it work though. I've got plenty of room on the front of the boat that I can put some storage lockers on for other stuff. So anyway, we'll make progress to that. And like I've said, God has the answers if you stop and listen. And for 25 plus years, 27, however long it took me to really figure out that I had to go a new direction. It doesn't matter how long it's taking you. It can be a month. It can be 29 years. It can be a week. The answers are there. Listen to God. He is going to tell you what to do and the path you need to lead, the path you need to follow that will lead to Him. And your guide is Christ. So just keep that in mind. And as I get closer to, when I get back up there, I'll do some more. Sorry, we got a fire truck going by. But as this gets going more, I'll get less philosophical and I'll get more hands-on on the boat. And God, they're coming right down my street. Oh well, I'll check in with you next time. God bless you, and let's keep on this path together.